Deadpool was never supposed to be a mainstream superhero. A foul-mouthed, fourth-wall breaking mercenary with a love for violence and an even bigger love for chimichangas, he was everything that traditional superhero movies weren't. And yet, against all odds, he became one of the most popular comic book characters of all time. But the ride from the page of a comic book onto the big screen was anything but easy. Deadpool was created back in 1990 by Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld. When he first started, he was actually a supervillain that fought against the X-Force and New Mutants, and would only become everyone's favorite antihero later. Deadpool essentially began as a parody of the DC character Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, and his other abilities and appearance were also inspired by other characters such as Wolverine and Spider-Man. There are also some similarities to be found between Deadpool and Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe character, since Rob Liefeld was a massive G.I. Joe fan too. By 1997, Deadpool already had his own comic run and quickly became a fan favorite thanks to his unique personality, humor, and anti-hero status. It seemed that Deadpool was more and more popular as the years went by in the realm of comic book fans, but his journey onto the big screen was a completely different story. As Fox owned the rights to all of the X-Men, they also owned the rights to the Merc with a Mouth, and in 2008, when they were cooking up the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie, they thought it would be the perfect opportunity to bring Deadpool onto the big screen. The person they had in mind for the job was none other than Ryan Reynolds, who was a massive Deadpool fan. In fact, the first time he had opened a Deadpool comic, the very first thing he saw was Deadpool saying that he looks like a cross between a Sharpay and Ryan Reynolds, and it was there and then when he knew he was destined to one day play the character. However, when it came to actually putting the Merc with a Mouth, suit and all, into the movie, the producers didn't really seem too interested. This was in a time when it was almost somewhat feared still to make comic-accurate characters, as the people running the studios considered comics too nerdy to actually be put in movies as they are in the comics, which resulted in many differentiating outfits and traits, such as the infamous black leather X-Men outfits. So, instead of putting Ryan Reynolds into the well-known red and black suit, the closest to seeing Deadpool do Deadpool-y things was a brief scene near the beginning of the movie where Wade Wilson reflects bullets with his swords in a fight. Admittedly, this was a really cool scene, but the Deadpool we all wanted to see was nowhere to be found, and it only became worse as the movie progressed. One of Deadpool's defining traits is the fact that he cannot shut up. This is, in fact, such a defining trait that his common nickname is the Merc with a Mouth. So, what did the writers decide to do? Of course, they decided to sew his mouth shut, turning him into Weapon 11, as well as give him a few random powers, like Cyclops' laser eyes and blades which retract into his arms, much like Wolverine's claws. At the end of the movie, when Wolverine fights what the producers wanted us to think was Deadpool, almost everyone was left completely disappointed to find out that the Merc with a Mouth had been rendered mouthless and relegated to a random villain for Wolverine and Sabretooth to defeat. On top of that, a post-credit scene hinted at the fact that he may still be alive, despite the fact that Wolverine and Sabretooth dispatched him effectively, and the people were not happy. On top of an already lackluster movie, they had to deal with a horrible depiction of Deadpool, and the one person most of all left unsatisfied was Ryan Reynolds. However, he wasn't going to give up that easily. After this disappointing outing as Deadpool, and another, perhaps even more disappointing movie in the form of Green Lantern, Ryan Reynolds was really desperate for a good superhero adaptation. He still wasn't giving up the idea of adapting the Merc with a Mouth properly, but Fox really wasn't interested in making an R-rated Deadpool movie, thinking that it would realistically flop at the box office. After a bunch of trying, Fox finally agreed to let Ryan Reynolds film some test footage to see if what he had in mind was worth the money. So, in 2012, Ryan Reynolds filmed a test video and Fox was disappointed. Instead of trusting him and giving him the money to complete the project how he saw fit, they put the footage on a shelf, never to see the light of day again. Or so they thought, but Ryan Reynolds still wasn't ready to give up. For 2 years, the test footage was sitting somewhere on Fox's shelves. When a mysterious someone leaked the footage online and the people went crazy, the response was so overwhelmingly positive that Fox greenlit the movie immediately, although they still held back and gave the movie a pretty tight budget of $56 million, which is actually why Deadpool forgets the gun bag in the final fight, instead of it being an all-out shootout. Although Ryan has never officially admitted that he was the one behind the leak, it was always heavily suspected that he had something to do with it. Once Deadpool finally got a trailer, people couldn't be more hyped to see the foul-mouthed anti-hero finally in the red and black, on the big screen. When it finally hit theaters, Deadpool didn't just break even, it was a massive success, pulling in over $800 million and breaking the record for the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Both fans and critics were full of praise for the movie's humor, action, and portrayal of the Merc with the mouth. Deadpool was flying high, and everyone was over the moon with how seamlessly he blended in with the other X-Men present in the movie, Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, as well as how well his humor played off of them. But no one was happier than Ryan Reynolds. After years of trying, he had finally managed to make the Deadpool movie he was trying to, and everyone was loving it. The only logical way to continue was to ride this success and make a sequel, of course. Not long after the first one, the second Deadpool started production, but almost immediately hit a bump in the road. Tim Miller, the man who had directed the first one, left the project due to creative differences, and the movie went directorless for a little while. However, soon enough, David Leitch, who had jump-started his career by co-directing John Wick with Chad Stahelski, was brought along to direct, and everything seemed to be going in the right direction once again. In 2018, Deadpool 2 came out, and, although perhaps slightly less liked than the first one, people still really enjoyed it overall, and it showed in the box office, since it also bagged almost $800 million. Deadpool was once again flying high, and this time, the movie also introduced fan-favorite characters such as Cable, Domino, and the Juggernaut. However, something happened next that no one had expected. In 2019, Disney officially acquired Fox, and that meant only one thing for the Merc with the mouth. All of the X-Men, including Deadpool, were joining the MCU. But how? For years, everyone had been wondering how Deadpool, such a loudmouth, crude, R-rated character, would fit into the family-friendly PG-13 vibe the MCU had built over the years. It seemed like Deadpool was going back on the shelf for an indefinite period, and that the time of the Merc with the mouth was slowly coming to an end, until a very special video surfaced on Ryan Reynolds' YouTube channel. In September 2022, Ryan Reynolds released a video by the name Deadpool Update, where he made the stunning revelation that there would be a third Deadpool, with none other than Hugh Jackman, who had previously hung his claws up after Logan from 2017, returning as the Wolverine, finally bringing together the much-awaited fan-favorite duo of Deadpool and Wolverine. And, through no coincidence, this is exactly what the third movie would be called, Deadpool and Wolverine. Not only would the Wolverine be a part of the movie, but Deadpool would also get to keep his R-rated humor, becoming the first MCU movie to be fully R-rated. The hype was insane. The trailer shattered records, reaching 365 million views in just 24 hours, more than any movie trailer in history. And when Deadpool and Wolverine finally hit theaters in 2024, it didn't just succeed, it dominated. The movie became a global phenomenon, breaking box office records and surpassing even the wildest expectations. It grossed over $1.3 billion, reclaiming the title of the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time. However, Deadpool and Wolverine didn't just break records. It proved that Deadpool is here to stay. Not even the MCU could tame him, and with his upcoming role in the next Avengers movies, he's going to be more important than ever. From a butchered first appearance to becoming one of the most beloved superheroes in film history, Deadpool's journey has been as chaotic as the character himself. And if there's one thing we've learned, Deadpool always finds a way, and he's just getting started. If you want to dive even deeper into the world of superheroes, check out our video on the last days of superhero movies, where we break down how the genre went from box office dominance to constant flops. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to Heroscope, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more deep dives into your favorite characters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.